All right, my beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, for those of you that didn't do, I just got done doing my first watch along, and I just want to thank everybody that sort of followed the match with me. It was really fun to do. Thanks so much for all the comments. It was so cool from all corners of the world. Thank you. By the way, for those of you that gifted comments, thank you so much. I tried to answer. I think I caught most of them. If I missed one of your comments, I apologize. I'm going to get a lot better at making sure I don't miss those going forward. But I really, really appreciate it. I thought it was good fun. And I think these are going to get better as we go. And my uncle will be involved in some of them as well. So I think you guys will enjoy them. So I just want to say thank you to all of you that joined me for the watch along, which was so much fun to do. Okay. Let me give you guys my thoughts, my thoughts on this match, which I thought was a very scrappy and kind of ugly 3 points. Okay, this was a very unconvincing performance. I think our collective play is still very, very poor. We're winning matches because, we have players of extraordinary quality who really only need, a little window of opportunity. And we've been surviving in matches because of the individual skill of our players, but not because of team play. I think this is a sort of almost a permanent feature this season, and I think it was definitely on display tonight in Mestalla. So, if you're depending on individual moments of brilliance, you're going to win matches like we did tonight, but you're very unlikely to win tournaments, and certainly very unlikely to win big tournaments like the Champions League and things like that. So we still have an enormous amount of work to do, and this was a very unconvincing, I think, very kind of eclectic, just not very cohesive performance. It just looked a little bit disjointed, and it didn't seem to me that there was a lot of kind of coordination in our play. Let's talk about the lineup first. Now, in terms of the lineup, and I did do a preview and I give you guys the lineup that I thought we would see. The big surprise was the presence of David Jimenez as right back. He's a youngster from Castilla. I think that all in all things considered, the kid did a reasonable job. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to play away from home. You're playing for the first, with the first team. But this allowed Fede Valverde to move into the midfield and play on the right, which he did for most of the first half. I think in the second half, he drifted a lot more to the middle. But we ended up with a lineup that I think was reasonable. All things considered, I think it was a reasonable lineup. I kind of wanted to see Trent from the beginning. He didn't start, but he did play a few minutes in the end and showed us some of the long passing that he's capable of. But I think that all things considered, maybe Trent is not ready to play 90 minutes yet, and that's the reason. But all things considered, I think it was sort of a reasonable formation, okay? This was a 4-4-2 with a diamond formation in the middle. So you had Tchouaméni. Well, in defense, you had obviously Courtois in goal, Carreras on the left, Huijsen and Asensio as center backs. You had David Jimenez as right back, which allowed you to play Tchouaméni as a pivot, Fede as a midfielder on the right, Camavinga as a midfielder on the left, Arda Güler in the kind of number 10 position, and then up front, we just had Kylian and Gonzalo. Kylian on the left, drifting to the middle, and Gonzalo on the right, drifting to the middle. We didn't see much of Gonzalo at all, I'm afraid, during the course of this match. Now, in terms of the match itself, now the first half I thought it was very stiff. It was kind of stiff. It felt very rigid. It wasn't very fluid. There wasn't a lot of fluidity on the part of either team, to be honest. It felt like neither team wanted to make a mistake in the early minutes. So I think the first 10 or 15 minutes were just kind of uncomfortable for both teams. We struggled a lot to get behind. Once Valencia sort of settled into a low block, we had a very hard time getting through it. This is something that is very characteristic of Real Madrid over the years. When teams are really organized in the back, we do struggle to break through. There was very little movement. I thought that our players were very static, especially up front. So the ball kept going from sort of static player to static player. There was very little movement up front, so not a lot of dynamic passing, through balls into a running player, into space. There was very little of that. From about the 15th minute, Valencia started to push forward a little bit more aggressively. They did create a couple of chances. Nothing really, really glaring, but they did manage to get into our box and make us uncomfortable on more than one occasion. All of the Valencia attacks seemed to come on their left and our right. So basically, they were going at David Jimenez. They thought, okay, this youngster is out here. Let's see if we can get behind him. And it felt like every single Valencia attack was on their left and our right. So this poor kid, he was probably nervous enough as it is, and he had a very, very busy night. In the 18th minute, we had a first, pretty good chance with Arda Güler, a shot that went wide. 1 minute after that, we had a good shot by Kylian, who played most of the first half on the left. But then, in the second half, when Brahim came in, he drifted into the middle. The match in the first half was kind of back and forth, but in a very kind of crappy way. So it wasn't the kind of back and forth that is exciting to watch. It was back and forth in a really crappy way. It was like slow, lethargic, disjointed. The play was very interrupted. One team would settle into a defensive block and then they would kind of take turns. But neither team really was able to create a lot of chances or a lot of danger, either in possession or on the counter. In the 27th minute, David Jimenez had a pretty good shot. It was a good opportunity. But the first half finished with, I would say, both teams having had, small chances, but really nothing major. And with Real Madrid really unable to impose our play. I mean, it just felt like we were kind of moving the ball very slowly and kind of trying to keep possession, but we were having a very hard time kind of imposing our play and creating real serious chances. In the second half, I think Fede drifted to the interior and played alongside Arda, and I think that was quite positive because Arda was really the only player, I think, creating any kind of play in the first half, and he felt very isolated to me. In the second half, Fede played a lot more in the interior, and he was connecting a lot more with Arda, and there was a little bit more continuity of play on the back of that. In the 52nd minute, we had a shot from Fede from distance that went right to the keeper. And then in the 55th minute, we had this golazo by Carreras, which, look, Carreras, he's been hot and cold this year. He's had good games. He's had bad games. But he is a player. He is, for a left back, he is quite good on the ball. He does know how to dribble. He's got a very good touch on the ball. He's technically quite gifted. For a left back, he is quite gifted. So he is a player that can do the 1-2s. He can dribble into the box. And that's exactly what he did on this occasion. He dribbled between two players, was lucky that the ball happened to fall right in front of him, and he managed to put the ball in the back of the net with his bad foot, with his right foot. So that was obviously very encouraging. I mean, I think it does tell you a lot about our play when your goals are coming from your left back doing incursions into the box. It's not really the kind of goals that you want to see constructed this way, but I mean, that's unfortunately the kind of match that it was. We were relying on the unconventional to try to create something. Now, after the goal, Valencia pushed up quite a bit, but they never really looked particularly threatening. Okay, there was one very good, I think the exception was in the 71st minute, Beltran had a very good sort of shot. The ball came into the box. He got on the end of it, and it hit Courtois' post, the second post. But that was a very good chance, probably the best chance that Valencia had in the entirety of the match. In the 75th minute, Trent and Brahim came in, and Gonzalo and David Jimenez came out. And I think these changes made a lot of sense, and I will give Arbeloa a little bit of credit for this because Trent, in the minutes that Trent played, he showed us those wonderful long balls. He really loves to make these long passes, and I think that they're a great resource. So I was very, very happy to see Trent come on. I think David Jimenez was tired and had a pretty, had experienced a pretty abusive night because they were coming at him all night. Brahim came in for Gonzalo. Gonzalo was kind of non-existent in this match, and Brahim brought a lot of dynamism to our play, and he went to the left wing, allowed Kylian to move into the center, which turned out to be quite effective. That was a very welcome change. I think those changes made a lot of sense. Trent, like I say, showed us his passing skills on 2 or 3 occasions, which was wonderful. And then Brahim, like I say, was playing on the left. Kiki went back into the middle. But Brahim, I think, brought a lot of dynamism to our play. He's a very skillful player. I think when teams are defending in a low block and you're kind of stuck, having a hard time to get through, players like Brahim are a good idea because they dribble very well. They can get past defenders. They're very quick with the ball. They're very hard to mark. So I think bringing Brahim in made a huge amount of sense. In the 82nd minute, Arda Güler came out and Mastantuono came in. This was a change that I was less happy with because I thought Arda, all things considered, this was not a great match, but Arda really was good on the ball. He was good. He was one of our probably few sources of creativity at all. I'm not sure why he came out. He didn't look tired to me. And Mastantuono came in, and I've been very disappointed with Mastantuono in the last 2-3 matches, and he managed to disappoint me again in the few minutes he played here. In the final minutes, we had the golazo by Kylian, and this was a long pass. I believe it was Huijsen. I think in the comment section, as we were doing the watch along, I think you guys mentioned it was Huijsen, but a long ball from Huijsen to Brahim. Brahim makes a great run on the left, and the absolutely perfect timing of that pass to get it to Kylian in the center, to put the ball right in front of Kylian, but to do it quickly enough to avoid the offside. So he passed the ball quickly enough to make sure that Kylian was behind the line of the ball. I thought that was a very good play. The wonderful pass by Huijsen, great play by Brahim, and a great finish by Kylian, who is just absolutely lethal in the box. I mean, his finishing is really spectacular. Now, after that, in the 90-plus minute, Cesteiro came in for Fede, one of the rare times that you'll ever see a Fede leave the pitch because he tends to play 90 minutes all the time. But there you go. We end up in 0-2, playing very mediocre football, very unconvincing football. The takeaways for this match are that it wasn't great. Okay, our collective play is still very poor. We're very slow in transitions, and we're very disorganized in transitions. So there were moments when you'd see, maybe Kylian and Arda running like crazy on a counter, but everybody else behind was walking. And it's like they didn't join. You need the second line to participate in the counters. But on too many occasions, it was just sort of Arda and Kylian on their own. It just looked like our transition play was usually slow, but not coordinated when we did do it. I thought that was something that we saw throughout the match. I thought that we looked a little bit shaky in the back. I think defensively, despite the clean sheet, I thought we looked shaky. Like, this is just not a defense that gives me a lot of confidence. This was a very mediocre performance against a very, very poor Valencia side. I think, had this match been played against a stronger opposition, we would have been in a lot of trouble. But Valencia is really, really poor this year, and you could see it. So I think that was a very big factor in terms of the outcome. So this level of play is not going to get us anywhere. We got the 3 points. It keeps us in contention, and we're still kind of in charge of our own fate. If we were to win the Clásico and when, we are still theoretically able to control our own destiny. If we win everything, we can win La Liga. But given the play that I've seen, I'm just not convinced that that's going to be the case. I think this is still a team that looks a little bit disjointed and confused. It's lacking leadership and spirit. It lacks football identity. It's a type of a team that depends far too much on individual moments of brilliance without any kind of cohesive or consistent style of play. So I'm happy about the 3 points, but very unconvinced with our play. Look, in terms of players, very, very quickly, David Jimenez, I'm going to say the kid did okay. I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to do to play he's played a few minutes before, but to play for the first team when you don't have experience is very difficult. I thought he did okay. Huijsen, and we were laughing about it in the chats in the watch along. Some of the comments are hilarious, man. I these watch alongs are fun because the comments are brilliant. Huijsen, I thought, was getting a lot of stick in the comment section, and I agree that he was very poor on the ball, but I do think that he defended okay. Like, he defended reasonably well, especially the aerial balls. I can't count how many aerial balls Huijsen defended in our box. So I would say that he had a reasonable game, a pretty good game defensively, but a very sloppy game on the ball, with the exception of the magnificent pass to Brahim, which produced the second goal. Asensio, I think, had a pretty solid match all around. Carreras, I think, had a reasonable match and a very good goal. Arda, I think, was our most creative player. He didn't link up as well as on other occasions with Kylian and Gonzalo, but he was definitely our only source of creativity in the midfield. Fede, I thought, was pretty solid, especially in the second half. I think Fede was a lot more involved in our play in the second half because he came into the middle of the pitch and was combining with Arda and Tchouaméni, and I think his presence was a lot. I think that helped a lot because it gave a little bit more depth and muscle and just a few more bodies in the midfield to kind of control the ball and control the play. So I think Fede was pretty good, especially in the second half. Camavinga, I thought, was sloppy with the ball, but I think defensively, let's be fair. Yes, he did lose some balls, and he does risk the ball sometimes in dangerous areas, something that pisses me off a lot. But he did make some really important defensive contributions, and I think we have to be fair about that. I think defensively, Camavinga did okay. Not so good on the ball, but defensively, I think he had a few really important contributions. Tchouaméni was a bit hot and cold, did some things well, some things not well. I mean, he did lose a few balls, but also recovered a few good balls. Kiki, I thought Kylian was, interestingly, not that effective on the left. I mean, he tried and tried on the left, but it just never seemed to work. And then the second we put him in the middle, bingo. So I don't know. He's been playing, scoring a lot as a number 9. I thought that today he would kind of put on a repertoire on the left wing, going back to his old days, but he didn't. He was actually pretty ineffective on the left wing. And again, we got the best out of him when we stuck him back in the number 9 position, ironically. But there you go. Gonzalo, I thought, was totally non-existent. I have no idea where he was. We didn't cross balls into the box when he was in the box, and then when he was outside of the box, he barely contributed to any of our play. So I thought Gonzalo was just basically not even there. Brahim, when he came on, I thought did a very good job of bringing a bit of fresh air and dynamism and creativity to our play. Mastantuono, I thought was quite poor, and I've mentioned that as well. But look, the best thing to come out of this, let's not kid ourselves, is the 3 points. It keeps us in contention, but this is very unconvincing football, and I think Arbeloa still has a lot of work to do. We need to recover Rudiger. We need to get him back in the center of defense. That'll make a very big difference, I think. We need Trent to start playing consistently as a right back. All these injuries are completely inexplicable to me. We need Trent to be healthy and to be able to start matches, because I think he can make a difference. So there are some injury situations that can improve our play. But I do think that Arbeloa has a lot of work to do in terms of our collective play and our style. We need a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do because I'm just not seeing systematic, automatic play. I don't really see a discernible style of play. It is very hard to describe how we play these days because it just seems like a hodgepodge. So anyway, I thought it was a mediocre, scrappy performance. And the best news, of course, are the 3 points and that I did my first watch along, and I had an absolute blast. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Those are my thoughts on the match. Let me know what you think in the comment section. For those of you that didn't join us on the watch along, I hope you'll do so. This will only happen in away matches. I go to the Bernabeu for every single home match. I'm not going to stop doing that. So obviously the watch alongs will be for away matches, but I think we can have a lot of fun doing them. So thanks to all of you that joined me. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I love you guys. And as always and forever, a la Madrid.